going to talk about the stealing of Kosovo from the Serbs by the Western powers. The United States have recognized Kosovo. Why do you think they're doing this? Major media have hailed creation of the world's newest country, but calling Kosovo a country doesn't make it one. And who are these people? Who is the Kosovo Liberation Army? A vastly majority Muslim state has been carved out of Serbia, a European Christian country. The Gypsies, the Gorani, and the Jews have been expelled from Kosovo along with the Serbian population. Why would the Bush administration want a Muslim state in the heart of Europe? Why would they want this? Why would they create the equivalent of a Palestinian state in the southern reaches of Europe? Why do you think they're doing this? And who are these people?
Relative insecurity, we want to know, will Kosovo survive as an independent state? Well, the road to its independence has been shockingly violent, unstable, and very complicated. Modern-day Kosovo was once a part of Serbia, which was itself once a part of Yugoslavia. After the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Yugoslavia fell apart in a series of regional wars, including the Kosovo War. This war was so incredibly violent and marked by war crimes that in 1999, NATO was forced to intervene and Kosovo was made a UN protectorate. In 2008, Kosovo declared its independence. So, how has it fared since declaring sovereignty? Well, after consistently being seen as the poorest region in the former Yugoslavia, little has changed besides its name. From 2008 to 2015, Kosovo's GDP rose from about $5.6 billion to $6.3 billion, while unemployment is at around 31%, although CIA estimates have placed this figure closer to 60% among the youth. And in 2010, for some minority groups in the region, unemployment may have even been as high as 90%. In addition to barely maintaining an economy, Kosovo's military force is tiny. In 2009, the country established an estimated 2,500-person security force. Then, in 2014, the Prime Minister announced the creation of an army of roughly 5,000 active soldiers and 3,000 reservists, for a population of more than 1.8 million people. Even then, it'll be one of the smallest military forces in the world. But one of the biggest challenges to Kosovo's future survival is ultimately recognition. The country has garnered the support of more than half the UN's member states, but its former ruling country, Serbia, has actively refused to acknowledge Kosovo's sovereignty, although international law maintains that it recognizes the country's government. And despite the support from most of the UN, Kosovo has been unable to join thanks to Russia, which is an ally of Serbia and is able to unilaterally veto admission to the UN. Still, the country has seen some progress on joining the European Union. Although it's still a disputed territory, full sovereignty is not a prerequisite of EU membership. As of 2012, Kosovo has fulfilled the legal requirements necessary to join, and negotiations have been ongoing. But perhaps one of the most unsettling aspects of Kosovo's independence is that it's become a breeding ground for ISIS fighters. Kosovo has the highest per capita rate of foreign fighters in Europe. In the past 2 years, the New York Times reports 314 Kosovars have left to join the Islamic State. While the country recovers from its violent history, it's been grappling with a small economy, small military, small population, and no international sway. With few positive attributes nearly a decade after gaining independence, and despite the gold medal, the future still doesn't look bright for Kosovo. Kosovo is one of many nations around the world that receives funding from Saudi Arabia. The money helps spread Wahhabism, a branch of Islam that many believe is fueling the rise of extremism.
Αποσφαίρες έπεσε νεκρός στο σερβικό τμήμα της Μητρόβιτσα ο Όλιβερ Ιβανόβιτς, Σέρβος πολιτικός του Κωσόβου. Ο 64χρονος, που ήταν σημαντική πολιτική προσωπικότητα, έγινε στόχος δραστών, οι οποίοι επέβαιναν σε αυτοκίνητο ενώ έφτανε στην έδρα του κόμματός του, που βρίσκεται σε ιδιωτική κατοικία της Μητρόβιτσα. Ήταν επικεφαλής τοπικού σοσιαλδημοκρατικού κόμματος και θεωρείται μετριοπαθής πολιτικός. Μιλούσε αλβανικά, επέκρινε την πολιτική που ακολουθεί το Βελιγράδι στο Κόσοβο, αν και δεν αναγνώριζε την ανεξαρτησία του Κωσόβου.
US military base outside of the US proper. And Camp Bondsteel is also the largest US military base since the Vietnam War, ever built since the Vietnam War. Of course, Vietnam bases are non-existent because US had to clear out of Vietnam, but that's the largest base built since Vietnam War. And now we know why such a huge base was actually necessary in this area. Now with the Turkish stream that Russia is building through Turkey to go into Greece, and from Greece it's supposed to go through Macedonia into Serbia, through the Balkans, in other words. And then after that, after Serbia, it will be directed towards Hungary, Austria, Italy incidentally participates in that. And Camp Bondsteel, the largest, and I'm again emphasizing, the largest US military base outside of the US is located smack in the middle of this. And so is it any wonder that Macedonian leadership is afraid to make a peep? I just again go back to my Lagerate 12 episode in which I talk a lot about what was happening in Macedonia and this attempted coup organized by the same sources, attempted color revolution, yet another one, while Macedonian leader was actually in Moscow for May 9th Victory Day parade. And all these protests and attempts at color revolution, attempts to unseat the government started exactly that time. An Albanian terrorist crossed the border from Kosovo into the nearby, located next door, absolutely just like, you know, just a very, very short distance from Kosovo straight into Macedonia.